you believe that we started recording right in the middle of 2020 with all of the COVID and lockdowns going on around us, unable to meet up? So like many a young gentleman, we turned to the internet for our entertainment. Tried to find a place where we could meet up and talk about the good, the bad, and that time that Stu saw a pelican on the canal. In order to facilitate our dreams of answering all of the big questions in film, and after a few attempts at recording via other methods to various levels of success, we found Zencastr, a super easy web-based one-stop shop for recording. Log in and you're ready to record in a matter of seconds. It doesn't take a tech genius to get high quality audio or video. And on top of that, the one time we have had an issue, the fact that the multi-layered backups are stored locally means it's easily fixed all in browser. There are plenty of tools you need when you start podcasting, so let Zencastr take that headache away, as it offers a place to record, edit and distribute all from one website. Any lazy bones Jones can pick up and play and have studio quality audio or 4K video put out for the world to see when using Zencastr. Go to zencastr.com/pricing and use our code CAGEFIGHTING and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. We want you to have the same easy experiences we do for all our podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. And now, hit the music. Hello and welcome to Cage Fighting. It's your main man Andy Gillard here. Hope you're all keeping well in the world right now.
Hello everyone, we're here. Awards night. We haven't got tuxies on because we don't care that much. I'm Stu. You know that already.
We threatened it last week, but he's here with us as well. We've got Ed joining the team too. Evening, Ed.
Evening. It's always exciting when I get a shout out when I'm not on the the show. So I've been building up since I heard it. So yeah, no, looking forward to it. And thanks for having me on.
Yeah, well, we needed. So like we've done all this now, and like I thought we needed someone to like interrogate us a little bit. So this week, Ed, basically it's over to you, mate. You've got the questions to be asking us. So I'm just going to give you the reins and treat us kindly, please.
Yeah, so I guess just to summarise for the viewers the listeners in India who are super fans like me, we are basically, I'm going to do a rundown of some questions about what we've learnt about Mr. Cage through this wonderful podcast over the last, 5 years? 5 years? Best part of 6 now, isn't it, really?
Yeah, it's getting there.
So, yeah, we've got some awards to give out. And we've got some questions, and then my last question is it's an existential question to end the podcast on. But I guess, Stu, we'll start with you then. Which Cage film, and I'm taking out all the Cage films, I'm coming at this with the fact that I've listened to this podcast religiously, and I've probably only watched about 5 or 6 of the Cage films that you guys have ever talked about. But before I met you all, I obviously knew it through the fan cast, and then joined the fan cast and jumped on here just before joining. I've lived this experience with you all. Which Cage film, not the ones I would have heard of, so Face Off, The Rock, all those things, would you suggest as the go-to non-Cage completionist? What film should they watch?
I mean, the first one, because you can go one of probably 10 different ways with this. You can go the crazy mentalist stuff. You can go the stuff that's obviously shit but funny. You can go for the somber things. But I think the one that kind of goes into the second question as well, but it's one that you could probably say to anyone, this is a very good film in its own right. And obviously it's got another film of the same name, and that is Bad Lieutenant. It's just a really good film in its own. It's nothing like the other one. It's not just in name only. We talked about this last week or the week before, but it is really good, and it's got Cage moments in it. It's actually really well acted by everyone. It's not dodgy in any way, shape, or form. And it's one of them things like, if you're having a crime night, if you're having a Scorsese night and you want something a little bit lower than that, put Bad Lieutenant on. You'll enjoy yourself.
You've stole my answer as well, Like, I was 100% like, it's Bad Lieutenant, because you get a little bit of everything with that film. Like, you do get the crazy Cage, you get the drugged out Cage, you get, like, the kind of somber Cage as well in parts. You get the highs, the lows, you've got this really mental story that's evolving around this one man. And I do think it probably showcases the best and worst aspects of Nic Cage. And it's brilliant because of both of those elements of him. I'll throw a different one out just because you've already said that, Stu. I'm going to go with The Family Man.
That was one of my other ones, because it is you got that and the other one that we watched at the same time, Mastic Men. Similar kind of vibes.
The Family Man is basically It's a Wonderful Life. What if Nic Cage and Tia Leone had stayed together is the premise of the film, and it all just revolves around Christmas. And Cage starts off as an absolute schmuck, and then he goes on this journey of what if, and then comes out to the side a changed man. And it's a really nice story. It's quite a family friendly one, which isn't normally what I would go for, but it's a film that I thought worked really well. Cage was excellent in it. Like you said before, the supporting cast as well did a good job in this movie. You get the crazy, you get the sincere. I like The Family Man. It's another one I don't think really many people saw. So that would be that's probably my second choice, if not Bad Lieutenant.
Yeah, bro. And I think I was expecting Bad Lieutenant because I remember the review of that was glowing, and it's been mentioned a lot recently as well, hasn't it? When you've done all your wrap ups. But I guess put those ones aside, and you're right, Stu. It does it bleeds in these two questions, which is why I put them together. But what sort of a hidden gem or unexpected film that you has either made it into your rotation of one of? I know you use the phrase Sunday afternoon films, but what sort of a hidden gem, something you'd never heard of that is now in the pantheon of films you'll watch?
I mean, the obvious one. I'm not going to talk about Trapped in Paradise again. There's plenty of time for this.
No, I knew he's going to make me angry.
That one I had a separate question for, because that's the only one of the recommendations I've put on by you guys and turned off. I just couldn't do it. I don't think I even got as far as 10 minutes in.
No, so I'm not putting that. I mean, the one that going into them, there was a few of them anyway. But the one that I went in expecting the worst, and actually coming out the other side thinking that was really good fun, was he's probably going to say the same thing, Mum and Dad.
It was one of three I've got written down.
Yeah, it was just a great laugh. No one's taking it seriously. Everyone's having a great old time. But it's not hammed up. It's not campy, really. It's just a really fun, silly kind of. It's not even comedy horror, I guess. Is it? Kind of Shaun of the Dead like kind of stuff.
Like it's bordering on it, isn't it?
Yeah. You can throw it into that kind of dark comedy area, but it's just really good fun, and it's a bit twisted at the same time, which is always a good thing.
Yeah, Andy.
That was one choice. That's one that I have sort of become obsessed with because of Cage's performance in it. The other one would be Colour Out of Space. That was the one that had rock bottom expectations. Ed, we've spoken at length about how shit the 2010s were for Nic Cage. Like, quality-wise, he just wasn't there at all. But then Colour Out of Space, I mean, I remember the podcast, we talked about 75% of the film, and then I just got to the end, I was like, I don't want to spoil this. I want people to watch it. And I don't think I've had that reaction with any other film. I was genuinely blown away with how good that film was when it was a straight-to-DVD thing with the shonkiest looking poster of any of his films, and it ended up being something special that I ended up stopping up watching on 5 Star at 1 a.m. because they were showing it. And like, I can watch this at any point, and I'm watching it with adverts on 5 Star in the middle of the night because it's such a good film.
Yeah, I remember you guys talked about the cinematography in that one that was
gorgeous,
incredible, wasn't it?
Absolutely stunning. Yeah.
It looks like Avatar, which is always a good thing.
Like, for something that's like a shoestring, when you compare it to Avatar, which was hundreds of millions, the fact that you can mention it in the same breath and it not be a piss take is kind of impressive. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you guys have already mentioned, I think moving on to the next question, even though I'm obviously not a Nic Cage completionist like you guys, everyone knows Cage is iconic. He's crazy. He does peaks and troughs sometimes in the same movie. But based on that, what Cage film of all that you've watched does it appear that Nick is playing in a different film to everyone else? Where is he either a step above or maybe even a step below everyone else in a film? Because he can do both, which is why he's so iconic.
I think the one where he's a step above and he's in a very good film would be Longlegs, because it's a crime drama. Apart from Nicolas Cage, who is just completely out there. Obviously, he plays Longlegs, but he's not. It's about him, but it's not featuring him. If that makes sense, he's just sort of like looming over the movie for the vast majority of the runtime. But when he comes on screen, he just absolutely knocks it out of the park. And he's in a different movie to the rest because he's so crazy and everyone else is so restrained. But he doesn't ruin it in the way that it probably does in... what other films has he done that he was probably ruined by being Nicolas Cage? Because you've got a lot of the Bangkok Dangerous and all these things where he's not bothered. The Wicker Man, maybe. Because I think he thinks that's a comedy. I think he thinks he's in a comedy and nobody else is on that same wavelength. And it's not a good film anyway, but I think he probably takes it down a notch because of it.
Yeah, I mean, mine was, like you just said, Bangkok Dangerous, because he is in a different world to everyone else in that film. Like, he's the only one you ever know anything about, going in all sins. And it's not a good, well, it's a shit film. It's not, I was going to say it's a shit film. And he's mildly better than that. But because it's so bad, he stands out by a mile. The other one was another Dream Scenario. I thought he was, again, it's not bad for everyone, was pretty good in it, but he was excellent in that. Playing as well, we've talked about the sofa scene before. Which is hilarious.
Now I know which film it is now.
Yeah. Just that character was just something that we hadn't really seen before either. And he just stood out. And you're going off from the things, I mean, there's a few that we'll mention later on as well, like Unbearable Weight and stuff like that. But obviously, he's part of a bigger squad in that, and everyone's good in it. So going into Dream Scenario and it not being the film that I thought it was going to be, and yet he was still excellent. So it's not as much of a stretch of a question than some of the other ones.
Yeah, and this is off the cuff question now, but is Nicolas Cage the biggest movie star that's been in the most films where you go, I don't even know who that person is? You know, when the name comes up at the bottom of the screen on Amazon Prime or Netflix and you've no idea who that person is. Is Nicolas Cage the biggest star that's been in enough movies with those people?
I mean, there's one other, but it's like we know why he did them now. That's Bruce Willis.
That's who I was thinking of as well, yeah.
But if you take that, I mean, he'd been doing shit films anyway before he got ill. But yeah, as someone who stayed as a big star, I think it's probably undoubtedly Nicolas Cage.
And not just stayed as a big star, but like his star fell to the bottom of the barrel for a while. So his reascension to the top again. Like I should mentioned Unbearable Weight. They then made a film about Nicolas Cage as Nicolas Cage. That's how far like he'd fallen and come back to the very tippy top. And yet no one's done that. I don't think anyone ever will, to be honest.
And is Nicolas Cage the only A-lister that is also able to do that? Like, to take that on the chin and then also be a parody of himself in a parody? I can't see, you know, Tom Hanks or Tom Cruise or anyone else doing that, really. I can't even see like Ben Stiller doing it, you know, as a comedy actor.
Like we've seen them do stuff where they parody themselves. Like we saw Ben Stiller in Extras. We saw Tom Cruise in Tropic Thunder. We saw Tom Hanks has done like quite a lot of Saturday Night Live where he's very playful. But those are like cameos. This is Nic Cage doing a whole film about Nic Cage. And like with the best will in the world, Tom Hanks knows who Tom Hanks is. And I don't think he would want to mess that up.
And you look at a lot of these people's reactions to Ricky Gervais when he absolutely roasted them all, and they didn't like it. They didn't like it one bit.
No, that's British humour as well, though, isn't it? Is the fact that being able to swallow the praise and the banter is definitely something they're not great at. And I think I just think on this journey that I've been on with you as mostly passive. I think that's what's always blown my mind is whenever you guys go, I know that guy from someone, and then one of you will Google it, and it's like he was in a TV show in the 90s, and then he's done nothing, and it's now 2012, and he's in this he or she is in this film with Nicolas Cage. It's always blown my mind a little bit. I quite like it when you start tapping on the keyboard because I know we're about to find some IMDb gold.
I love the fact that you've only seen like 20 hours worth of Nic Cage stuff, and you've been with us for like 200 hours worth of Nic Cage stuff. I think that's incredible.
All of it. It was lockdown. We needed something to do, and you guys were engaging. So that's all it took. And it's not just me, is it? We've had other people have joined us on the journey. So talking, we're all a bit all over Nic Cage. We know he's up and down. We've all chuckled, even I have chuckled over unintentionally moments that Nic Cage has done, even the biggest films. But Andy, what for you is the most unintentionally funny moment that Mr. Cage has brought to the big or small screen?
I do wonder about this because I feel like the question you just asked about the moments where he's acting in a different film, I wonder how unintentional it is when he does anything. Part of me feels like he does nothing unintentionally. Like he sees something that nobody else sees. So like my answer would be Vampire's Kiss, which is like we've discussed, it's the most memed of all of his films because there's some absolutely batshit insane stuff that he does in there. And I don't know if it's unintentional or not because the film isn't comedic, but he's given a comedy performance in it. And it's just so funny all the way throughout this movie just because of Cage. Whether that's unintentional comedy, I have no idea, but that would be my answer because the stuff like with the false fake vampire teeth at the end of the film,
really true.
Running around the streets shouting, "I'm a vampire! I'm a vampire!" and it's just mental in the most wonderful way. And like this, that's probably another film that we should have mentioned earlier about for non-Cage completionists. Watch Vampire's Kiss because it's crazy and it's fun.
How about you, Stu? Unintentionally funny.
I mean, the whole of Left Behind was unintentionally funny. But again, that could fit into many, many categories on this list. But yeah, I mean, I think Gunslingers, though, like, what the hell? The fact that compilation video on YouTube exists after I said I have to do it if it doesn't exist, and then immediately it was already there. I don't know what's going on because it's outrageous. Like it's a shit film. Absolutely, it's an atrociously bad film, saved by him and him alone. And he's obviously either high or he doesn't care because that performance is
both.
It's just crazy. And but again, it doesn't fit anything. It doesn't fit anything. But like you just said, he never does anything by accident. Like you wouldn't put it past him to think this film is awful. I'm going to do something here, and that was the answer.
Yeah, I must admit, and this obviously is going to be very route one because it's my Cage knowledge, but his Adam West style superhero in
Kick-Ass.
Kick-Ass was it. when I've been on Cage Fighting before, I've talked about going to that film just because it was the first film that was on when my friend had come back from Australia, and we just went to the cinema, and we went in there knowing nothing about it and rolling in the aisles. And I don't think he's supposed to laugh as much as I was at his Adam West style Batman. He's just, I think you're right, Andy. I don't think I've maybe taken into consideration that it's probably none of that is unintentional. It's incredibly intentional, with the fact that even if only, this bloke, I think I watched that in Quinton cinemas. He's all the way over there in Hollywood, and he's making this bloke in Quinton, miles away, laugh his head off, and it's probably only for me at that point in the film because it was the first night, and it was just on. He's an incredible actor that we've talked. I think we'll touch on that later, and he makes you think even in the bad roles, doesn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. Like you mentioned Kick-Ass there, but the other end of the scale, he did a similar thing in a film called Army of One, where he played this kind of bumbling, soft-spoken dolt, for want of a better word. Like he was a bit of an idiot. But the way that he obviously saw something in that character that thought, this is how I need to do it. And there was no real reason to do it that way, but he did. And like the film's not good, but he's good. And like, how many times have we said that on this podcast, Stu? The film's not good, but he's good. Like, it's almost a catchphrase of ours because of what type of actor he is.
Yeah, the stones on any actor for me is like to do this and to be potentially ridiculed and embarrassed even on set is something I don't think I'd be able to get my head around or get over. But the fact that he can be Crazy Cage even in shit films must mean that this bloke he obviously loves his craft as well, doesn't he? Because he wouldn't do it for any other reason, I'd imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. Proper artiste.
Talking about being an artiste, though, Stu, we all have questionable accents here on Cage Fighting, but there's a lot of questionable accents in Cage's back catalogue. What's the iffiest or most baffling that you've had?
I mean, immediately it was Captain Corelli's mandolin straight away.
That's one I've watched. I can join in.
Just the fact that he's got the heritage that he has, and he still managed to speak.
That's a fair point.
Like this, and then he got an Italian American kind of hybrid nonsense accent. It's just, I mean, I've kind of got fond memories of that film. I mean, I've only watched it a hand of 2 or 3 times over the last 5 years, but he almost, I mean, this could have applied for 2 questions ago. It almost takes you out of it because it's so ridiculous and it doesn't need to be. So it was the obvious one for me.
That was that feels like that was the first conversation we had about Nic Cage's accents. So that's always the first one that springs to my mind as well. Peggy Sue got married. Like, what the fuck was he doing there? I can't say it was an accent. It was like an affectation that he put on his voice for no discernible reason. Like, it made no sense. It didn't add anything to the character. It was really bizarre. That one sort of sticks out. And the last film that we watched, Outcast, because Scotland. He was supposed to be Scotland, but it was Scotland via London, Yorkshire, Dublin, and then Edinburgh and Glasgow. Like it was all over. It was just roaming around the whole of the United Kingdom and Ireland. It was crazy.
I think that's the thing that I've picked up, obviously listening to this for however many hours, is the fact that sometimes you've talked about his accent work and then gone, but why? There was no need for it. And that again just goes back to what you talk about, Andy, about the fact that he's seen something in his character that maybe even the person that wrote it didn't. Yeah.
But like he did Outcast, and he's also done Season of the Witch, which is like it's the same period piece set during the Crusades. And from what I remember, in Season of the Witch, he just talks with an American accent. So like, okay, so you just don't give a shit in some films, and others you care too much. And it's really strange.
Yeah, and The Surfer, obviously that was written in, so he didn't have to do an Aussie accent.
That was so like we'd literally said the week before. It'll be a case of just he's Australian, but he grew up in California. Like most of his accents have become now.
Yeah, but do you think that's written in post though? When it's Cage that's been cast, do you reckon? Or do you reckon it was always set up for him?
But yeah, I think it was written in post.
Yeah.
I reckon Cage probably tried, and the director was like,
he definitely would have tried. We know he's a try.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, we don't want to offend people, Nick, so let's just say you're from California.
Yeah, I mean, I can't do any. I can't do any at all. I mean, it seems to be Australians who are very good at it. Like people like Australians and the Scottish, which you wouldn't expect, who've got like neutral tones to them, and they can just go anyway. But yeah, I mean, it's one thing. I thought, yeah, if you tried an accent, fair play to you, because I ain't doing one.
You're not paid millions, though, Stu. In fairness,
yeah, if you're on a good retainer, Stu, I'm sure you'd work on your Brisbane accent. I'm sure. This we'll touch on. We're doing questions and we're also doing awards, but I couldn't not have it in twice because this is Nicolas Cage we're talking about. So iconic Nicolas Cage, whether you've watched him in one film or you've watched him in how many have you watched, Andy? What's the total?
I think it's 116 films, one TV show, like 117 in total, I think it is.
So whether you watch one
plus other stuff,
whether you watch one or 117, or sometimes just even his interviews on the red carpet, Nicolas Cage can turn into Crazy Cage or Cage Rage quite quickly. Sometimes when it's not needed. But which for you, Andy, stands out the most? Which Crazy Cage moment?
The most iconic for me would probably be in Mandy. After he finds out that Mandy had been kidnapped and he's left alone to like pick up the pieces, and he's just stood in the toilet with a pair of pants on, a bottle of vodka in one hand, and he's just screaming at the camera for what feels like minutes. Like, it does feel like it's a long, guttural, rage-filled scream. And I think that probably is the one for me. That's the one that immediately springs to mind as being the most crazy that we've seen him on camera, in a good way, like in a restrained, this is what you need. The other end of the scale where he's giving crazy and there's no reason to, probably be Drive Angry, which is a film that I do really like. Yeah. But there's the bit where like he's fucking that I think she's a bartender. He's fucking her. He's got a bottle of Jack Daniels in one hand, shotgun in the other hand, and he's smoking a cigar at the same time. I like that. It's just the two ends of Cage, that is.
So you've also just cast him in GTA the movie, because now we have Nicolas Cage as Trevor, surely. Which
he's never played GTA 5, has he? He doesn't know. He doesn't understand.
I know bits, but
yeah. Well, that would be also some wig work, which we'll talk on later as well, if he has to play.
Imagine
Trevor.
Nicolas Cage and Stephen Ogg together.
There you go.
Oh, that'd be amazing. We need that.
How about you then, Stu? Crazy Cage.
Yeah, I mean, Drive Angry was on my list. I mean, the obvious one is the bees. Just the bees and Vampire's Kiss, but we already talked about that. All the ones where he's just turned into a meme for no reason. Like even in Gone in 60 Seconds with the finger thing. Why? There's no point to it. It's just there. And then that turns into a meme. And then like the whole of even Con Air with the hair flick. Why? all these like little things that just because it's him, it's memorable. I think it always has been for me though. Face Off. He's just brilliant in that.
Yeah,
and it shows both sides of him. It's the obvious answer, but after 5 years, we're qualified to say so. But yeah, there's too many. I think this is the problem with this. There's too many to put in this section. That it could be from any 90% of any of these films, he does something like this. Even the bad one. I mean, maybe not 2-1-1 because nothing happens in 2-1-1. But you just could then just randomly scroll down and look. Army of One. Talked about that already. Rage, Tokarev. Again, Madness. Season of the Witch.
Trespass.
Yeah, Trespass.
Yeah.
Sorcerer's Apprentice. Going crazy in that.
Season of the Witch exploding his eye. Kick-Ass, like one of my favourite scenes in Kick-Ass, when they've set him on fire when they're in the warehouse at the end, and he's just barking out orders to Hit Girl to, shoot him on your left, right. That scene, like the intensity that he brings to that whilst he's supposed to be burning alive, that's some fucking top tier acting as well. And it's crazy. Like, it is very much a crazy Cage bit.
So scrolling down that list then, Stu, would it have been easier to say which film isn't there any crazy Cage moments?
I mean, there's one.
Have you got any?
There's a few. I think the sensible ones. I mean, we can't not have that section without Deadfall, because Deadfall, while being utterly awful, he's strangely brilliant in that film in a really shit way. And yet he dies, and then he's back.
Holds it up. Yeah.
Yeah, like things like Honeymoon in Vegas, where he's really good in there, and it's really calm and somber, and it's normal. Yeah, I mean, you didn't like it, Andy, but Windtalkers, it's a sensible performance in that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As well as even though it's only a cameo, really. We can never think of Snowden.
Mm-hmm.
Just playing a normal guy, just there for the sake of it. So he can do it, but we don't want him to.
Yeah, that's not what you sign up to a Nicolas Cage film for, is it?
It's not.
So, next question, and we'll picture the scene. Wolves have just won a game, so we are in dreamland here. And you're walking back from the Molyneux, and you think, I'm going to have a pint. Who do you want to walk in to that pub and see sitting at a table calling you over saying he's already got you on? Which of Nicolas Cage's characters are you hoping's there at that moment, Stu?
I mean, it's high, raised in Arizona. It's just, I mean, obviously not the end. Spoilers, you got time. But yeah, as someone who very much enjoys a drink and has seen what the effects of this can do, yeah, he's like a professional pisshead in that film, but in a fun way. So it's, I mean, you can go the other way, which you don't want to be sitting in a pool your own vomit, do you, or live in Las Vegas. But yeah, raising Arizona is high. Yeah,
that's true. That's a good point.
Or ending up with a shotgun and a cigar and some whatever it was that was in the other hand that was on one of them when he was drunk.
Butler Jack.
That was it.
Yeah.
How about you, Andy?
My answer feels like a bit of a cheat, but I'd kind of like to go for a drink with Nicky from Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. He's dream version of himself. Like, he's the one who he sees, and it's basically it's the Wild at Heart version of Nic Cage that he sees. Although I don't want to know if Nic Cage smooch is good. That's one thing I could I could live without finding out. But yeah, like that young, energetic Nic Cage, and he looks like he would be a good laugh on a night out. Might be cheating a little bit because it is Nic Cage playing a version of Nic Cage, but that would be my answer anyway, I think.
See, that says you can tell I have about 4 pints a year because I just went with, well, I did history at uni, so I wanted the bloke out of National Treasure. I'll go and just ask him some questions. So I'm in for a really boring night compared to you, Stu. I think if I was to pick someone.
I had 7 before Sunderland last week. But we were in the north.
You needed 10, mate.
So we had. Just think of the greatness of it. So there was two Carlsberg, Carling, Guinness, Worthies, and mine. So 6 pints, $14.50.
That's like Nicolas Cage's acting career in just that drink. There, you've gone all over the place.
Yeah, that wasn't me. That was the.
Oh,
round.
Right. Okay. Sorry. Right. Okay.
That's why I remember it, because it was the round. But yeah, we're in the north, and then a Guinness Surge in the ground, which I'd never seen before.
What's that?
It's the nitro thing that you can buy.
Right. Okay.
It's basically like the business version of that. So it was pint cans of Guinness on this surge thing that makes it all nice.
It's like that they've tried to monetize how it tastes in Dublin with this surge thing, so it pours it perfectly. See, Guinness
Does it
is
make
probably
any difference?
I've
or
not
is
had
it just?
It was all right. Yeah. You could. It wasn't Guinness out of a can, which is essentially what it was. So it did something to it. A bit like my old beer machine over there. Similar kind of vibes, I guess. But it did something to it because obviously you're drinking out of a can in a plastic cup. It's going to be shit. You know it is.
Yeah.
And it's going to go down really easy. But it didn't. It tasted like a decent pint of Guinness. So
Winner.
obviously didn't have any coins there though because banned. Different story, different podcast.
More on that tomorrow, guys. If you're a fan cast, if you're a fan casting, tune in on Fridays and Sundays, where we're never happy. Very different vibes on this. We're all smiling, which we wouldn't be if we were doing this on a Friday night. See, Guinness is probably the one beer I will talk about because that's one of the few ones I actually will drink. So, we have to ask this question because you've done 117 and some change, not in the Stadium of Light, on Nicolas Cage. But I'll come to you last, Stu, because I think Andy's tolerance is not the same as yours. And I say that with all the love I can. But you've done all this, Andy, but which film broke you or almost broke you? Which film had you thinking, why the fucking hell are we doing this?
I think it was Birdie. I think Birdie or Firebirds, both of those films. If I remember rightly, Stu, I think we did them fairly close in succession.
Yeah.
And they were a struggle. If I remember correctly, it was just after one of our birthday podcasts, and we did these two films. And like Birdie is this kind of really well-regarded film. It's got a 7.2 on IMDb. People love it. And I wanted to kill myself because it was dreadful. Cage was pretty good in it, in all fairness, but I hated it. It had Brenner out of Stranger Things in it. Matthew Modine as the main guy. And Matthew Modine's a solid enough actor. So I thought this would be fine. And it wasn't. It was just this dreary bullshit about a man who thought he was a bird. And I was like, oh, God. And then we went from that to Firebirds, which is
Wings of the Apache,
which is Top Gun about helicopters, where he just plays the sex pest for the whole film. Like, he's got no redeemable characteristics at all. And like those two films back to back, watching, I was like, this is dreadful. that was probably up until like the last sort of month or so, Stu, where we've watched a lot of shit because we've had to finish off the 2010s and they've been universally honking. Those two midway through was like, yeah, this is tough going.
So Stu, obviously, famously, a high tolerance for shit film. The amount, I wish I'd started a tally of. Do you remember when we watched this, Andy, or do you remember when we watched this, Stu, and you've gone, and it was shit, but then you've watched it. You've said at least 10 or maybe 11 so far, just the ones you've mentioned. But which one? This will obviously be different because, you know, Andy is Andre under that wonderful beard. So we know he's a lot more highbrow, if I'm allowed to say that. But Stu, you're closer to my level of real basic. You're a lot better than me, but I'm very basic. But which one almost broke you?
Yeah, he's more Chianti, I'm more Carlsberg. I know my place.
What the fuck am I then? Pepsi.
Skull. Yeah, I mentioned it already. 2-on-1 would have been mine, but we only watched that like a month ago, so it doesn't count for this exercise because the one that I watched and even halfway through, I mean, all of the shit ones have got normally something about them. Normally, there's like a handful, like we talked about in the bottom 10 last weekend, but it was. I think it was the fact that I'd been watching a lot of stuff about like post-apocalypse and things like that, and then we go into it, and you come into me, and what did I put it as on IMDb? Prisoners of the Ghostland. I'll give it a 3 out of 10. It was just dull, and it was like it's the kind of sets that you see at school, and it could have been painted on, made out of balsa wood. It just looked cheap and tacky and horrible, and I just didn't like it one bit. And I thought, yeah, a lot of these, you spend 2 hours a week watching a film. There's always something. I mean, you all know what we're talking about later, and that was some of these things you look forward to more than others. This was one that I had no expectation of, so I went in blind, and it came out worse. I thought, yeah, this is a bad thing to do with your time.
See, for me, and I think this was quite early on when I was listening to you guys talking about it, but I remember your reactions. Was it Primeval?
Primal.
Primeval
was an ITV show about dinosaurs and wormholes.
No, how have you got recollection of that, Stu?
I loved it because it was ITV's answer to Doctor Who.
Was that the one with
Hannah
from
Yep. But that was one I remember listening to, going, "Why the bloody hell are these lot doing this?" And they can't keep this for the next 4 years. And lo and behold, yes, we are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so
that was a bad film.
I think I'd have tapped out at that point. I think is what we've learned in there.
Well, we should just ask Matt. Like, it broke him eventually.
Yeah, it did.
So I get I'm denied over which way to do this, but I think this is a good place to put it. We've got 2 more questions before we do the awards, but I think it is probably right to go with worst Cage performance, Andy. Which one has he actually honked in, to use your word that you used earlier? Because it is difficult, because I think Stu said earlier, sorry to jump in, but when Stu said even with the shit films, there's always been something, the vast majority from an outsider's point of view does seem to be that it's Nic that's kind of kept things going. But there has been some stinkers from the way you guys have talked.
The one for me that immediately springs to mind is Left Behind. Like, I enjoy it because of how terrible it is, but he did it as a favour to. It was one of the Coppolas. I think it was a brother that he was doing it for, who was also a priest, and this is a Rapture film, and like it feels like nobody gave a shit in that film. And the vast majority of Nic Cage's performance in that film is him just sat in the cockpit. Like, he doesn't get up and interact with anything. It feels like the most I'm just here for the paycheck film that he's given. It was such low effort. Like, it was bordering on funny, but I think that probably is his worst performance.
Do you mean
because they're all... No, so he plays a pilot, and the whole film is.
Oh, sorry, I thought you said priest, and I was like, has he said the wrong word?
His brother is a priest.
Right,
I think he's also the director of this film, if I remember correctly. He's part of the clergy.
I was trying to. In my head, I was picturing then a priest flying a plane.
No, but it's set on a plane. That would have been better.
There we go. We've got the next Nic Cage film.
Like, he just didn't give a shit throughout that film, and it made it funny, but it's the worst performance. Because even in, like, Jiu-Jitsu's probably a worse film, The Wicker Man's probably a worse film, he gave something. He didn't give anything in Left Behind. Nothing at all.
Stu?
Yeah, I mean, Left Behind was the obvious one. For the same reason, that it was so obvious that he was just there for his name, and that was it. But in the interest of it, I'll just say 2-1-1 again, because it was just dull. Everyone was shit. Everyone. And it was boring. It was obviously a TV movie because there was advert sections in it. Even though it was never released like that. It was just bad. No one cared. Everyone was phoning it in, including him. And he was playing that seriously as well for some strange reason. Like, you can tell that he couldn't be arsed. Because when there's films this bad, like we've already mentioned, like Jiu-Jitsu where he does something silly, or he puts on a voice, or wears silly cross glasses like in Gunslingers, 2-1-1, he couldn't be arsed.
Real low effort, wasn't it?
And you could tell.
And is that coming back to your point that you made earlier, Andy, about him actually being an artiste? It's the fact that if his heart's not even in it, even for a bad film, then it's not even just a paycheck at this point. It's just, I'm here, so I'll just go through the motions.
It does feel like there are times where he's done films as favours to people, and like that doesn't seem to be enough for him. I think he likes something where there's a bit of meat on the bones. So if you watch like Looking Glass, that's the one where he was the hotelier of some seedy motel where you could see through the two-way mirror. I don't think he gave anything to that performance. The Vengeance a Love Story, again, it was an interesting film. It was an interesting idea of a film that was badly executed. But there was just a few films where he just felt like this is just a paycheck and nothing else. And I think if there's nothing to excite him, if there's nothing to titillate him like the exploding eye in Season of the Witch, you're not going to get anything out of him in those terms. He's just going to turn up. They're going to use his name to get that film made. So that's all he needs to do is just be there.
Mm.
And I guess we all know that we've got the devil on one side and the angel on the other with Nick. But Stu, we've talked about bad. What about good? Where has Nic Cage really shone?
I mean, the obvious one, which I didn't mention it a couple of weeks ago because it's not my favourite, but his performance in Pig is exceptional. So it's one of the best films I've ever seen in my entire life, let alone for this. Just films in general. When you talk, I did think about doing a letterbox the other day. That is going to take a long ass time.
I think a lot of people do it where they just put the films that they've now seen. So they'll start empty, and then I've seen one today, I'll add that. Because if you try to go back and add everything else, you'll be here forever.
Yeah. I mean, you could do what we've done before and look at the films from a certain year and then put the ones in that you've watched.
Yeah.
Do it as like a one sort. I mean, yeah, you do it every toilet break or something like that, but Pig would be in my top 10 films ever. It's perfect, and he's excellent in it, like beyond excellent, like 10 out of 10, A-star class.
Yeah, I've written Pig down on this because it's one of the ones where you guys were so vociferous in your praise of it. That's a big word for 9:30. I'm hoping it's the right word. That I watched it, and yes, Stu, I think easily, without starting to name them, it's top 20, top 25 films. It's a brilliant film. I only watched it because I've listened to this podcast, but it wasn't what I was expecting. Even though you guys had explained it, it still surprised me watching it because of how different it was. And if I remember rightly, when you were doing the podcasts after it didn't get anywhere near the love at the Oscars that you thought it deserved either.
No, got nothing. Got not even any of the technical awards or like the writing or anything like that. I was very disappointed because like that. There's two other films as well that I'll mention in a sec, but for me, Pig is probably is Nadir. Does Nadir mean the top?
Yes.
Yeah, it's the Nadir of Nic Cage's work. It's come at this point of his career, 40 years in, and he's producing something that magnificent.
Stu, it's your turn for a fancy word next, by the way, because we've all done one now.
But yeah, this I just thought was an absolutely magnificent performance. It's up there with the adaptation, which he was nominated for, and Leaving Las Vegas, which he won for. Mm-hmm. I think those are some of his, those are his biggest three performances. If I had to say one that probably gets overlooked, I thought he was brilliant in Joe as well.
I like Joe as a film better than this. We've talked about that before. But Joe, it has to be in his top 5 performances anyway. Sumptuous.
Oh, nice. There we go.
There you go.
Right, and Sumptuous moves us nicely onto the awards, actually, Stu.
Yeah, I see. There we are.
And I think Sumptuous is definitely great for the first award that we're going to do. So, Andy, I'll come to you first. I'll do a drum roll, but I don't think it'll come through on the microphones. But we are looking at what wig of Nicolas Cage's illustrious past gets your Best Wig Work Award at the Cageys. That's what I'm calling this section.
I'm going back to adaptation, where he's wearing that wig, and like they've somehow managed to do it that he's got this, like he's balding on top with it, and it's almost like the hair's really wiry and almost pubic-like in its style. it's awful, but it's really well done, and it encapsulates the sweaty mess of the character that he played in it. I actually think this is the best wig work, like genuinely good wig work on this film. So yeah, I'm going to go with adaptation for the Kaufman brothers that he was playing.
I mean, I thought Pig. It was great in Pig. Like, the amount of weight that he put on, because I'm guessing that wasn't a fat suit because of the budget that they had. And it matched perfectly. It was everything about it matched perfectly. I mean, can you say wig watch for for Dream Scenario? Because it's a hair adaptation, ain't it? So
Yep.
It's not a bald kid. Well, he shaved his head anyway before we've seen that in Butcher's. Was it Butcher's Crossing when he did that?
I think it was, yes, because the old way was he wore a hat
one.
through most of it, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, so from one extreme to the other, from Pig to Dream Scenario, either or.
And then the next two, I mean, we'll do them because again, his work deserves it. But Stu, we've talked about his accents, but the most unhinged accent or the most iconic accent, what's your final answer? Is it Captain Corelli?
Oh no! Gunslingers. Nothing is as unhinged as that performance.
I second it.
I don't know what that accent is.
No, and I've watched the compilation on YouTube and I don't know what it is. You said you couldn't do accents, Stu, you liar.
There you go.
I can do a kind of Dana Carvey having a stroke, which is what it sounds like he's trying to do. But yeah.
Is that the same answer for you, Andy?
Yeah, 100%. It was off the wall. It made no sense, and I couldn't tell you what accent it was because it wasn't of this world. This just wasn't.
So again, we've touched on unhinged accents, and we've also touched on the next award in the Cageys. But the peak Cage rage scene for you, Andy, which one tops the bill?
I'm going to stick with Mandy. I think that's the one because that's the rage of Cage done right. So yeah, Mandy in his pants screaming.
I had long legs for this. We don't want to. It's pretty new, so you don't want to go completely into it. But it was terrifying watching that scene where he in the interview room. It's like, what the fuck is going on?
Could you imagine being Maker Monroe and that's the first time you meet Nicolas Cage walking into that? Like, yeah, fair, yeah.
Crazy.
So we've gone from crazy and memorable, but Stu, you're going to have to jog my memory because some of these I'm having to think back to the podcast because obviously I've not watched most of them. But the most forgettable film, which is the one that even you have to go. Which one was that again?
Oh God!
And for the listener, he's now looking up the most forgettable film, so we can believe him.
Every single time I try and think of what this film is called, even now after doing these recaps for the last few weeks, The Trust. Every time.
That's the one with Frodo.
Yeah. Exactly. You say that he's in that, and yet I can't remember it at all.
I only remember his mustache.
Yeah.
That's not a good sign, is it?
No. It's like I read the synopsis on it earlier again, and this was like 3 hours ago. So and I forgot the name of it again.
And yet, Primeval from ITV in the mid 2000s.
Oh, exactly
like that.
No, I was more of a Rachel man, but Hannah Sperrit in that was.
We were all Rachel men.
Still are, aren't we? Let's be honest.
Oh yeah,
we're all. If we had like little bylines on this podcast, we're all Rachel. We're all Rachel men would be the title of this show. Yeah, that was The Trust. Just literally forgettable.
It's got the most boring name, I think, of all the ones you've mentioned as well. Andy? And again, for the listener, he's also now looking at the most forgettable film. So
yeah, the one that, like the first one that springs up here would be Kiss of Death.
No.
With Samuel L. Jackson, David Caruso, and Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage has got a goatee in it, and that's literally all I can tell you about that film. I've got no recollection of what happens in this film.
So as a cage fighting super fan, I didn't know he did a film with Samuel L. Jackson.
He's done 2.
He did Amos and Andrew and this one. A reformed convict goes undercover with the help of an angry detective to ensnare a psychotic mobster. I know I've seen it because I remember that. I remember that the goatee. I remember Sam Jackson, and it's one of the films that he did with the Tooch as well. I remember talking about how much David Caruso is a charisma vacuum. So I know we've seen it. I've no idea what that film's about. I've just read it, and I've already forgotten what it was about.
He is a charisma vacuum. That's brilliant.
Yes. This is the one where he gave up his TV show to do this film, thinking he was going to be a star, and then he failed.
Yes. And it's the Tooch with hair as well, which is weird.
Yeah, I remember it now, yeah. Did he break his nose or something in it? I can't remember.
Maybe.
There's a reason it's in most forgettable film. It's
because
you're pulling. But Andy, then, so the next one's slightly different genre for Nic Cage, but when he gives over his best dad energy.
The Weatherman. The Weatherman, like he's going through a tough time trying to work his way up in the TV industry. He's divorced from his wife, his family's falling apart, and he does like a really good job of getting to the end of it and reevaluating. He reconnects with his father, Michael Caine, and then becomes pals with Nick Holt, who plays his son in that. And like it ties it all together quite nicely. And this is quite a good thing with Nic Cage, where he does often, where he starts off as a dick and then grows as the film goes. And I think this is the one where at the end of it, like he seems like a nice guy. And I feel like that's dad energy for him. So yeah, the Weatherman for me.
Stu?
Yeah,
wholesome Cage?
I can't really argue with that. He was really good in that. I mean, mine was Arcadian, just because that is what the whole film's about. Him and his 2 boys in the apocalypse and keeping them alive. And he's actually really believable like that. It's one of them ones where it's not a great film, probably not even a good film, but it's all right. And he's obviously very invested in it. But yeah, since that is about a dad and his 2 boys, that's what my answer for this one was. But I can't argue with Andy's answer.
Big Daddy as well. Kick-ass.
Yeah.
Very good dad energy in that one. I mean, I say good, like he's a psychopath, but yeah.
Yep. And any film where the first line is a 10-year-old saying the word cunt is going to be a winner from me. So
that's why it nearly didn't get made. Studios are like, you're going to have to cut that. No, that's like the fucking heart of the story is that she's a monster.
Yeah, well, as I told you, I went to that film not knowing what the hell it was, and then when that was the first word uttered by that tiny child at the time, that got me moving in my seat. It was like, okay, this film's going to be different. And but yeah, whether or not he was a good dad, he definitely was a caring dad in that, even if it was misplaced. Stu, we've talked a lot about Nick being the superstar, even sometimes his name is the only thing that he's there for. But who's been his most distracting co-star?
I mean, I was just going to say her. Hit girl herself. I mean, you look at the obvious, you say John Travolta and you'd say the obvious ones, but she was better than him in Kick-Ass. And rightly so, she was the star of it. So, but her performance in that was incredible. And I don't think you can argue with that. I think everyone for the listeners, everyone's nodded along. So I think, was it Chloe Grace Moretz? Is that how you say?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. She was superb in that film.
For distracting, I mean, if we're talking about looks, it's probably Nikki Whelan in the few films that he's done with her. Or, oh God, what's her name? Kaylee Cowan in Willy's Wonderland. Like, oh my word. I thought though that Alex Wolff in Pig, like Nic Cage was just brilliant in it, but Alex Wolff, I knew nothing of him before this. I think he's done like Nickelodeon work, so I think kids might know him. And like he went toe to toe with Nic Cage in this film. It was a really difficult role to be alongside Nic Cage, giving such a big performance, such a all eyes on me. And Alex Wolff, I thought, was such a fantastic facilitator of that performance. And like the guy we had on the podcast, David Nell, the scene in the restaurant where Cage just eviscerates him, and his reaction is he can just smile because I think, yeah, both of those I think were, that they didn't take away from Cage because he was brilliant, but those are probably the two best performances I've seen in a Nic Cage film that weren't Nic Cage.
I guess just on a sub question for that, because we are halfway through or a quarter of the way through. But do you think, like I touched on earlier, with the fact that some of these films that you've got we've talked about the IMDb moments where, that guy was like, he was in something 10 years ago. Do you think sometimes they pair people like that with Nick, not just because of budget, but because he'll bring them along with him because of his ego and his ability, do you think?
I think there's definitely an element of do these people have chemistry together? I think you'd look at Cage with someone like Alex Wolff, who would have been mid-20s, I think, at this point, maybe even younger than that, and he will be able to bring something out in him if it's there. But they've got to have that chemistry anyway. Like, yeah, you've got to be able to at least have a standard, and Cage can then bring extra out of it. I think that's what it is. Because I remember Nell saying about what a giving actor Cage was, and I think you can see that in Pig especially.
Yeah, that was the reason. Like, when you brought him up, that was the thing that came back from that podcast, is how much he said he was willing to give and to go again if needed be, and he just was always there with his energy. And I think on Stu's point about Hit Girl, the fact that at 11, 12, whatever she was at the time, she was able to go toe to toe with him. He probably, I can imagine how much he loved that, probably seeing this little prodigy that's flying and probably outperforming him as well. He must have, I just, in my head, he must have loved it. So we've talked about some of the better elements, and we've talked a lot about the 2010s, Andy. But and this is your wording. Why did he say yes award? So which film? And maybe even some background as to why. We all know he's had his divorces and his debts and things to pay off. But which film for you wins the Why Did He Say Yes award?
I mean, it's going to have to be something for the 2010s, because we know why he was saying yes to this shit, because it was to pay for divorces and to pay for was it fucking £200 million dinosaur, and like his spending was just out of control through this period of time, and he was doing some absolute dreck. And I don't know if it ever got lower than Dog Eat Dog. Like, that's 2016. That feels like that's the real bottom of the barrel. It was going, like, I don't know what the point would, the point where it can't get any lower, where he's hit bedrock basically. And it's just this, it's a Paul Schrader film, so like I sort of get it because Paul Schrader's a decent name, but this film had no storyline attached to it. It was kind of ignorable. He then was able to bring in his mate Willem Dafoe, and again, I think that was potentially a reason why he said yes, that he had this little bit of freedom, but the script was dog shit. The story was non-existent. This is the one, Stu, that starts with Willem Dafoe killing a woman and her daughter. Like, it's just all over the place, and it's such a mess of a movie that Cage would have been better off leaving well alone. I think this was the bottom of the barrel for him.
Yeah, I remember. I remember it. Willem Dafoe in the doorway, just going into to slaughter him. I remember it now.
After watching porn on her computer and getting it riddled with viruses.
And then her having a go at him for it. Yeah, class. Yeah, mine was the same year. Shock horror. But a lot of them, like things like Wind Talkers, it's because he's got a passion for the peoples and all this kind of thing, and things like Jiu-Jitsu. We know that he's from the Orient, as they used to say. He loves all that stuff. But things like USS Indianapolis Men of Courage was always going to be shit. Like, there's nothing about it that was never going to not be shit. And he must have known, signing on for something like that, where a lot of it's going to be in the water, a lot of it is going to be using effects which the budget is not going to be able to stretch to. It's just going to be a bad idea. And I don't know how, obviously we don't know how much he was paid for it, but he can't have been worth that to do that performance. It's just bad. It's terrible.
One less dinosaur purchase, maybe, rather than do that film.
Yeah. Like, there's now not enough Lego in the world to need to work on that film.
No, and the fact that you've said a film, both of you, from 2016, just shows you how many of these things he was churning out at the time, right? Just because you've mentioned it so many times over the years of doing this podcast, but the amount of churn that he gets through in a year, even in good years, is something you don't really hear of.
Yeah, I mean, it was 2 a year up until 2010, and then since 2010, it's been 4 a year. Like, there's currently 8 upcoming projects for Nicolas Cage, 2 TV series, and 6 films. And like, some of those have been filmed, and some are in pre-production. So that's probably his next 2 years worth of stuff. Another 4 projects.
So for cage fighting diehards like myself, the podcast will roll on.
Oh, yes.
It will. Here to the bitter end. His or ours, whichever comes first.
So we obviously just talked about animal stew, and depending on your religious beliefs, you may not believe dinosaurs existed. But best cage animal interactions.
I mean, Primer was the obvious thing to think of, but that wasn't a real animal. It was barely a CG animal. I mean, Pig is the obvious one because he's actually there with it. And there seems to be a connection with this truffle pig with him. And you watch it again, and it's even more... We can't say, can we? Oh, well, the pig gets kidnapped, can't we? So it's harrowing, so yeah. It's even more sad when when you see what becomes the second time round. But yeah, I mean, even the pig was good in that film. And the whole animals and children rule. You got a pig actor?
I was going to say Xander Lee for when he catches the lizard, but that was Judge Reinhold who catches the lizard, wasn't he, out of nowhere? I'm going to cheat a little bit, and I'm going to say Willy's Wonderland. They're all animatronic animals, but they're animals nonetheless. The fight scene with the gorilla in the bathroom after he's just cleaned it up is brilliant. So, yeah, Willy's Wonderland's mine. I saw the trailer for Five Nights at Freddy 2 yesterday, and it looks shit, and I'm not going to see it.
Yeah, you are. You have to. It's the rules.
If Defoe comes back, then I will go and see it. That's the rules.
Well, Defoe can come back on, and we can talk about it again.
No,
he needs to come with us. That's the rule.
Oh, wow. So he's got he needs a transatlantic flight.
Yeah, that's right.
So from memory, there aren't many that you can go for this next Cagey award. But his best voice performance, and you've put in his particular animation roles, Andy.
It's really tough, that question. It's because, like we spoke about it fairly recently, didn't we, Stu, about how good he's acting as a voice actor. He really does give it socks every time. I don't think I've ever heard him phone it in a movie. My favourite would be Spider-Verse, but he's not in it enough. Am I going to say G-Force? I think I'm going to say G-Force, where he plays the silly little mole throughout the film who ends up being the bad guy, and genuinely surprised me. I did not see it coming. I thought he was very good. He gave a very good performance that he clearly gave a shit about in a film about fucking guinea pigs.
Again, would there be? Could you think of another A-lister that would be in that role?
Not in that role.
No.
Not at all.
Spy guinea pigs, by the way.
Yes.
Not just guinea pigs. Yeah, I mean, for caginess, obviously G-Force wins. But for just acting like a normal person, the Croods, like, he was just doing a performance in that. He was just acting. He wasn't just reading it off a script. You can imagine him throwing himself about in the booth and acting out the mannerisms and everything.
Good dad energy as well.
Yeah, it's everyone. All the voice acting in the Croods was just natural. Where you compare it to Ant Bully, which was shit. That wasn't. But yeah, I don't think you can go far with G-Force is just a delight.
I've just realised that we've probably got a double up here, so I'll move on to what's on our list as 12 guys. But the Stu, the best Cage death scene. Now we know there's chops and a half that Nic has, but what's his best ever death scene?
I mean, I've got the Wicker Man because it's funny. Have you seen it? There's an actual website that's got them all listed.
I've just gone on to it because, like, I just thought, like, I don't know what is the best.
It's called Cinemorgue Wiki.
Yeah, I've never even heard of this website until this.
Look how many there are. Where it's almost like Sean Bean level, so you don't realise.
Yeah,
I mean, Deadfall was my answer. Because it had been having his head boiled in a pot.
Yeah.
And then he came back and his head was fine. But yeah, Deadfall was the one that I laughed the most at, which is probably not the actual question, but it was one of the most memorable ones.
It just says best if that's your best. It doesn't.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of sad ones where he killed himself.
Yeah, the fact he's got more than one suicide on here is a bit strange.
I mean, stabbed by demon wings in Season of the Witch. Suicide, shot and slashed. Suicide, shot to death, shot in the chest. A lot of death. But yeah. But that was memorable, and obviously Renfield as well. But Renfield's Renfield. Everyone knew that was coming.
Vampire's kiss, and then when he pulls the settee over him,
yeah, like
it's a fucking coffin going over it. Like that one sticks in my mind. You're right. Like the Wicker Man is. Where they hobble him, and then as he's screaming, "This is murder! This is murder!" Like, yeah, they're well aware of what it is. Nick, he's fine. I want to say Kick-Ass again because I just found that such an impactful scene that I think he's given some of his best acting in that film. In a film where he gives very good acting throughout it, that scene, and he dies with a smile on his face, seeing his daughter ascend to become the superhero that he wants her to be. I think it's brilliant and it's harrowing, and he dies with purpose.
Yeah, and Stu has now made me think that I want to see Nic Cage do a shonky Sheffield accent saying bastard. If he's died as many times as Sean Bean, I'd like to know what Nic Cage's Sheffield accent looks like. But no, that again, very route one from me, but it would have been Kick-Ass for me as well.
Oh, Lung Legs, where he smashes his own head in.
Yeah.
I'd forgot about that. So
he's not really a villain in Kick-Ass, Andy, but most over the top villain. Then when's Nick gone above and beyond? But as a bad guy,
it's Face Off. Even when Travolta is playing Castor Troy, he's not as batshit as when Nic Cage is playing Castor Troy, like the Nic Cage version of Castor Troy. I want a film about Nic Cage as Castor Troy, but I also want one about Nic Cage as, what was Travolta's name in that film? I'm gonna have to quickly look, so I don't even remember. Like he's kind of inconsequential because the fun, I think, is from Nic Cage, Sean Archer. Just the start of it with "I could eat a peach for hours," where he's feeling up that woman who's singing whilst he's dressed like a priest. Like he just like having the most fun. It's the most villainous villain of all time, and I think that's the one. And he's more fun as Castor Troy than he is when he's Sean Archer as well in that movie.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of makes me not want the second one now, even though it constantly gets announced every few years. Because how is it even going to work? Well, it's obviously, how did it work in the first place? But yeah, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, mine was very Route One. I mean, I just mentioned it, Renfield, Dracula. He was the role of his life. Absolutely mincing around, camping it up. And it's almost like a theatre version. It's so over the top and like, yeah, project to the back row.
100%, yeah.
Yeah, even the trailers for Renfield that I think I saw a few times, you could tell he wasn't just playing that with a smile on his face. It was an absolute huge grin. He was loving himself in that film, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was dead and loving it.
We have touched on the next award, but I think it's worth bringing up again. The actually, this is a good movie award, Stu.
Again, as you'd expect, it's been mentioned, but the Surfer, and I saw it. They were showing trails for it on Sky a few weeks ago, because it'd be added to Sky Movies and Sky Store. And I thought, wow, of all the things to be put on here, that gets a bit of promotion. It's like, oh yeah, the usual things that you've seen before or whatever. But The Surfer, a film that no one has heard of, no one's. Obviously, what happened to McMahon was bad, but he was brilliant in that film as well as Cage. And yet, it's something that we never expected from going into it again. But not in a silly way. It was really, really good. And even when you say, "Oh yeah, it's a guy in Australia," and you can't sell it to people because it sounds ridiculous. And on all intents and purposes, it is ridiculous. But it's got so many layers and film student wankery in it. You could analyze it for years and not get to the bottom of it. It's craziness. But it's really, really good. People should give it a chance.
Like I was hoping it was going to be good, and I sat down and I was just sort of like open mouthed with how, like you say, there's a lot of studenty, like film students will get a lot out of it because of the symbolism and blah 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 and mise en scène and all that stuff. But yeah, there's a lot of it. It's a really good film. The one that, like, we spoke about this recently, but Racing with the Moon. In 1942 California, two young men await induction into the US Marines and say goodbye to their girlfriends. It sounds boring. It's like it's a 1940s, it filmed in the 80s, but 40s period set. And he just whatever. And I really, really enjoyed that film that I had no expectations about whatsoever. Sean Penn, I find, can be very divisive. Like, he's either very good or he's very bad and seldom anywhere in between. And I was expecting this to be the bad side of things. But he was excellent. Cageys, his buddy, was brilliant. Crispin Glover was in it as well. There's a few people who were just up and coming at this point. Elizabeth McGovern was in there. And it ended up being a good film with a lot of heart and a few laughs. And it really surprised me at how good it was when, by all intents and purposes, it sounded a bit shit on paper, but it is actually a good film.
And the last, that was, I think, listening to that one was one of the ones that, again, with my history brain on, there was like, that's one I'm going to have to seek out, because you again, I think both of you were surprised at how good that one was.
Yeah. It's like lost to time somehow.
Yeah.
Doing 117 films probably means that you're going to have a few, aren't you?
Yeah,
fall by the
probably.
wayside.
So this last award, Andy, I'll go with you first because I want you to clarify exactly what you meant by it. But the lifetime achievement in Cage Chaos. What are you looking for here?
What I was envisioning with that is, what is the film that gives you a bit of everything of Nic Cage?
So the quintessential Cage film.
Yeah, basically. What is the one that is all of Nic Cage? And I think it is Unbearable Weight.
Yeah.
Massive talent. Because it is clear it's a film about him, so you do get the real version of Nic Cage within the confines of the film, but then you get like the dream version of Nic Cage, and then at the end you get the film version of Nic Cage as well. So you do get like a little bit of everything with him, and I think he's breaking the fourth wall very much here, and he's pushing the boundaries as much as he can. And I think this is the quintessential Nic Cage film and the quintessential Nic Cage performance. This is something that I think everybody would get something out of, where something like Pig would probably be a bit more of a difficult sell for like a friendly family film night. It's not really going to work, but I think that Unbearable Weight is the one.
Yeah, and you're Pedro, obviously.
Yeah. Our boy Pedro.
And he's playing... It's my answer anyway, as well. He's playing a version of the Valley Girl character in Nicky, which I didn't know until when I was looking this up earlier, that Nicky was actually based on that crazy Terry Wogan interview where he rolls onto stage.
Oh, well, okay.
So
the legendary... yeah. Incredible.
Yeah, it was based on that interview. And obviously a mixture of the Valley Girl and raising his own highs and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, like as soon as he was sitting there with Nicky, I thought, Valley Girl. And it's perfect. And it had no right being, like a lot of the answer to this, it had no right being what it was. And yet when it came out like that, and you do get people like, oh, I remember at the time saying, I watched this film where Nicolas Cage plays himself and other versions of himself. And he's got Pedro Pascal, and it's like, that sounds shit. I went, well, kind of, yeah, it does, but it's not. It's great. And we need more.
I would like a sequel. I would like another Nic Cage playing Nic Cage film.
I think when you've got those two on the bill, you probably don't need anyone else, do you, really?
Not in the modern day, I don't think. Like, I think you've got at that point, it was the about to take over the world Pedro, and you've got the King Supreme of Nic Cage. The perfect medley. So
we are drawing towards an end of well, we're not though, are we? Because you've just told me that Nicolas Cage has got 14 projects on the go.
Yeah, more of the minute since.
And he's doing four a year, so we've got many to go through. Me as an audience member, and you guys just having to watch it as a completionist. But 117 films, we've touched on that, plus some TV stuff that you guys have watched. But Andy, who is Nicolas Cage? Who is he?
I think he's the most interesting man in Hollywood. I think he's... There are other actors, I think Tom Hanks, I think Tom Cruise are very protective over how they're perceived.
The brand.
And I don't necessarily think the perception is truth with them. I think they are hiding part, and I'm not criticising them for it. That is an entirely reasonable way to act. I don't think you get that with Nicolas Cage. I think what you see with Nicolas Cage, what you get, is what you see with him. Like, he's very much this man who is obsessed with film. Like the stuff in Unbearable Weight where he's talking about Fellini and like the old films that he loves, and that is from Nicolas Cage. That is not in the script. That is what he's put to it. I think he's a man who adores Hollywood, old Hollywood, new Hollywood, all kinds of Hollywood. And like I said, you're probably right when you said, Ed, that with Chloe Grace Moretz. I bet he was pleased as punch watching her grow into the person she became. And I think that's Nic Cage to a T. I think he loves Hollywood. That's why we see him do Prisoners of the Ghostland. That's why we then see him go from that to The Pig and Jiu-Jitsu. And like, he'll just do anything and everything that he can see something interesting in. And like I've mentioned it a couple of times, the fact that he took the Season of the Witch because of an exploding eye. Like, I mean, that's a ridiculous thing for an actor to say, that, oh yeah, that was why I did it. But I fully believe him. I fully believe he saw something that was, I've not done that. I want to do that. I will do that. And I think that's what Nic Cage is. I think he's a crazy bastard who just wants to embrace absolutely every facet of filmmaking, and film, in the wanky sense of the word film, is better for it.
Stu?
I mean, it's what you were talking about words earlier, and it's not one you'd necessarily say for an actor, but I think auteur sums him up. And again, not in both in the wanky sense of the word and not, because he doesn't take himself too seriously sometimes. When he's got a passion project, he will put his heart and soul into it, regardless of how well or not he's been paid for it. He doesn't seem to care what other people think of him, and at the same time, he's Tarantino love and all that kind of stuff. And I'm amazed that never happened. I mean, hopefully it happens in film 10. Mm-hmm. You wouldn't put it past that happening. But he's just very much a one-off. There is no one else like it. I mean, we started this as a joke off a sitcom, and yet the answer of is he good or bad? He's obviously very good. Yeah, he can be bad. Everyone can be bad, but not many people can be as good as he can be when he wants to be.
Yeah, I think that's both great ways to sum it up. I just want to say, from my point of view, I know it's not quite finished, but this has been a pleasure to do, but also genuinely the last 5 and a bit years of listening to you guys talk about Nicolas Cage, sometimes pelicans on canals, sometimes cold opens that we don't quite understand how it started and where it ended. The ASMR that you've just done for me, Andy, in real life, of tapping your keyboard, it's been brilliant the last 5 and a bit years, genuinely, to listen to you, and then the privilege it is to jump on like I have been. So for myself and all the listeners in India, and Ash and all the other regulars, Jafo and all the other regulars that have jumped on over the time, just the obsession you guys have had to do this has been great to be a part of, genuinely. And you've been my companion on loads of long drives I keep these for, because you guys have made it very engaging. So it's been a privilege to do this with you both, genuinely. And thank you very much for asking me on.
Thank you for coming on, man. Like we've said before, like if me and Stu were the only people who listen to this podcast, I think we would still do it, because we just love talking about films and this crazy bastard Nic Cage. Yep. And yeah, so the fact that there are people like yourselves who are crazy enough to join us on this journey, we really do appreciate each and every one of you out there. It's just been, like, I feel emotional having watched 118 things of this fucking idiot, but I'm so glad that I've done it at the same time.
Yeah, and there will be other subjects from this. Don't worry about that. Next year. Yeah. That is the thing, though. The next subject of the obsession will not be as wide ranging, I don't think.
No, I don't think it will. I think
there's not going to be anywhere near the lows of this.
It'll be a straighter bat. I think there'll be more off-screen to talk about than on-screen.
Yeah.
Which, Ed, will you be joining us for that journey as well? Excellent.
Looking forward
to hear it. We will make sure you get to see the films and join us with this one. Yeah. Right. Ed, thank you very much for joining us. We'll be doing Absurd Autumn. Ed, have you ever seen Big Trouble in Little China, which is what we're going to be talking about next?
I have it on DVD, believe it or not. I never watched it.
Really?
Yep. It's in a room somewhere in my parents' house. I've got it somewhere. I think I bought it. That's quite. How old is that film?
1986.
Yeah, I'm
so
sure.
Just under 40.
I'm sure in my wanky uni years when I pretended to like proper films, I bought that and a few others, and then haven't watched it. So it'll be somewhere, probably under a bed somewhere or in the loft.
It is, which I completely forgot about. I had watched a version of this that had bits missing and taken out, like what they do for Commando, where they edited Commando down for the Region 2 audience on DVD. They did this for Big Trouble in Little China. So the best version of this available is on Disney Plus, and the quality is unreal as well somehow. But yeah, it went into a bit of a tangent because I said it to Gold as well because he's obviously another super fan of this film, and he said something that I completely forgot about, the TV version of RoboCop that was shown on a Saturday afternoon.
I don't remember that.
It is insane.
Is this like the Die Hard Yippee-ki-yay melon farmers? Is it that kind of editing?
It's on YouTube. There's clips of the sections where they're changing, and they get the mouth pretty spot on as well. So it's almost like it's been filmed twice. I think I don't know because we couldn't find anything out about it yesterday when he brought it up. But remember when they did a RoboCop TV show that was PG?
Yeah,
it was terrible. I think it might have been like a backdoor pilot for that.
Makes sense. That would make sense.
That was a film I saw far too young. RoboCop.
Yeah, 7.
Yeah.
I don't think I was much older than you. It was at my nan's house where rules didn't exist.
I think that was the first 18 film I ever saw was RoboCop.
Yeah, it would have been mine too.
I think so. Super. But yeah, get it watched, Ed. Get Big Trouble in Little China.
I've got Disney Plus, so that's one I can definitely watch.
It's a little bit wanky because we'll talk about it in the podcast, but it's big and silly and fun as well. So like it's got a bit of everything that you want. But that's what we'll be discussing after the break anyway. So Ed, thank you so much for coming on, mate. Really do appreciate your time.
It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for joining us for the final part of the podcast. We're back for Absurd Autumn, where we're discussing 1986's Big Trouble in Little China, a genre-bending action comedy that blends kung fu, fantasy and screwball humour into a wild supernatural romp through San Francisco's Chinatown. It's beloved for its eccentric tone, quotable dialogue and subversive take on the American hero. The last few films that we've done, Stu, so we've done your Toxic Avenger, Jim Carter, they're very small fry, quite under the table, not particularly well-known movies. This is the first one that I think, like, those are cult films, and people would probably refer to this as a cult film, but I think that would be incorrect because this feels like it's probably one of the most well-known films of the 1980s, let alone of this particular genre.
Yeah, and it's the only reason it's a air quotes cult film is because it bombed. Mm-hmm. But like Blade Runner, it got second wind on home video. So, but does that even mean cult anymore? I mean, we need another word for it because it's beloved now. And
yeah, it's like, I mean, Rocky Horror. People refer to the Rocky Horror Show as cult because it's about a very specific genre that doesn't appeal widely. Whereas I do think this has wide appeal in comparison. So whereas this and Rocky Horror have probably had a similar existence in that it became a favourite at the midnight movie marathons, this grew so much more. And I don't think cult describes this film accurately at all. Not now, anyway.
I think cult is probably more from this era now. I mean, you can't get Blade Runner anymore. It's massive. Probably still. And this film's been mentioned way more on these podcasts over 5 years than you'd think it would be. Priscilla?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. I think cult, when I think of cult now, I think it's films that appeal to like 1% of the film going audience. It's a niche. and this film isn't a niche. It probably was at the time,
Yeah, not now.
but it definitely isn't now. And like you say, it got this second wind, and it's like this is one of the films that I feel like I grew up watching. Like we'd mentioned RoboCop, it was like this and RoboCop and Predator, and like anything with Arnie or Sly in, to be perfectly honest. Kurt Russell probably wasn't on the same wavelength as them then, though, I don't think.
No.
He was probably a better actor, maybe. I think they both had very specific films they were great in. I think Kurt probably does a bit of everything better than both of them, though.
I was like, when I was watching this time, and I was thinking like, who would play him now? Who, like, he's not quite the biggest name in the world, but he's well known. He's well loved. He's a good looking guy. There's a couple of obvious ones. Chris Pratt, maybe.
I think Pratt could pull it off because he's got the comedy, he's got the look, and he's got the action chops. I think he's got a bit of everything.
Yeah, it'd be him or Glenn Powell, obviously.
I mean, Glenn Powell, because The Running Man, which is the film we'll be doing next week, obviously he's doing that.
Yeah.
The first name that came to my mind was John Cena, but I'm not 100% sure. But I think Cena could probably do that kind of a role because he's got the comedy chops.
Yeah.
And because we'll get into it as we go on, but he's playing the all-American hero in this. Cena looks like fucking G.I. Joe. He is the all-American hero. So I think Cena could do it. And I know that in 2015 it was announced that there was going to be a sequel/remake of Big Trouble starring Dwayne Johnson, and it was going to be produced by Seven Books Studios or whatever it is called. They hired the writers and everything, and Zach Stentz was one of the writers. I did tweet him before the podcast, but he hasn't got back to us, the prick. So he said in 2019 that when Disney and Fox merged, everything went quiet. So I don't know if it's going ahead, but it is still showing us something upcoming on Dwayne's IMDb page. Do we want a remake, Stu? Like, just because they can, does that mean they should?
I mean,
I don't know if it needs it.
Yeah, we've been here before though. We've been in remake of 80s beloved films. Do we need it? And then you have Maverick, and it changes everything. This is, I mean, the world is weeby enough now. Anyway, it wouldn't work as well because this is the whole point of it, is that it's weird and it's a different world. And yet, all this stuff in like the statues and the flow. I mean, we've got Shang-Chi, we've got a Marvel film,
yeah,
in and around this kind of era, kind of mythology. We've got a CG dragon flying over lakes in that, and it's kind of been done to death. So I don't know how you even the remake reboot thing with this film. It's almost too unique for its own good. Yeah, you could probably say that about Karate Kid, and the apparently Cobra Kai was decent. You know, I never watched it, so I don't know.
I watched the first season; it was okay, but it was a different. Like, it was of this time, not that time, so it wasn't a remake as such. And I think, like, I've got it in my notes later on, but I think it's worth mentioning now. A lot of the jokes in this are about how ignorant the West is of the East. So we're a lot less ignorant, as I will say, knowing that you have booked tickets to go and see K-pop Demon Hunters.
Hell yeah.
Like, we're just not as ignorant about that now. Like you said, weebs are a thing. They've become much more embraced. It's not the unscrutable Japanese. Like, that isn't a trope anymore. You know, the East is part of the world, and it doesn't feel quite as mystical as it did back then. So I just don't know that it would work. They'd need to bring aliens in and have it be that, and then that just wouldn't be a joke. Like, that'd just be kind of lame.
Yeah, I mean, my cousin Sam went to China 4 years ago. Yeah, it was after COVID. So maybe 3 years ago, and as a small blonde white woman, and it's like, yeah, oh well, I want to go. So she did. So she said it was a strange experience, like, but it wasn't. So that, and everyone stared at her because she was very out of place. But it wasn't as alien as she expected it to be. But I'm just looking there, like on my Doctor Strange Lego set. You've got Wong on there.
Mm-hmm.
Wong's there in Lego form on the box. It's not.
Like,
it's
right,
not weird anymore.
Doctor Strange as a character is obviously embraced in Eastern mysticism.
Yeah,
and it did that pre this film. Like Strange, I think has been around since the 70s. I think I'm not 100% sure. I'm not really that into Marvel books, but obviously Eastern mysticism has been a big thing in the comic book world. And like, yeah, I just think we've moved on as a world that I don't see this film working now. If I'm honest, it's funny to be able to watch this movie and it's still enjoyable. But if this was released today, it feels like it would definitely be a flop. And I don't think it would get the second wind that this film actually got.
It'd have to be something very different. And at that point, what's the point? Like the RoboCop remake. It was fine in its own right, but it wasn't a RoboCop film.
Yeah, that's right. So, Big Trouble in Little China. Truck driver Jack Burton, played by Kurt Russell, rolls into Chinatown expecting to collect a gambling debt from his friend Wang Chi, but ends up embroiled in a mystical battle against ancient sorcerer David Lopan when Wang's fiancée Mao Yin is kidnapped for her rare green eyes, needed to break Lopan's centuries-old curse. Jack and Wang descend into an underground world of martial arts, warriors, monsters, and magic. As they fight through Lopan's lair, they team up with a band of resistance fighters and the sharp-tongued Gracie Law, played by Kim Cattrall, who's also being captured. Jack, despite his bravado, is hilariously inept, often stumbling through the chaos, whilst Wang handles most of the actual heroics. This film, 7.2 on IMDb. It's got a 73% Rotten Tomatoes. The Metacritic, who balance the scores with the critics, are giving it a 53. So it is kind of like 50-50 amongst the critics, it seems. It was quite, as you say, it's quite a flop. It earned $11.1 million on a $25 million budget. But it is now seen as like quite a creatively strong, very funny film. I think now is how it's perceived, that it wasn't at the time. Kurt Russell's in it, as I said, Kim Cattrall, Dennis Dunn, I don't know, James Hong, I don't know, and Victor Wong. These are not names that are familiar to me, but Kurt Russell was at a time one of the biggest stars in the world. We'll be rating the film on the Kaboom quotient, how gloriously over top the action is, how effective the effects are, impractical weapons, improbable stunts, the plot pretzel, which is how twisted, nonsensical, or convoluted the story is. Is there a message to the madness? What's the deeper meaning to this film? The ham and cheese charter, which is the acting scale, from gloriously hammy to cheddar sharp camp, and the what the fuck factor. How absurd is this film overall? So the plot pretzel, Stu. I've given this a 9. I think this is it's like watching a computer game. Because like you've got this bit where he rolls into this alleyway and then he goes to run over Lopang at the end, and then all of a sudden they're in this other room, and then they're below ground, and then they're fighting their way through. And you're right, it's the next level. Each part is a little part of a level. You get to complete that, and then you're on to the next bit. And I kind of love that feel. Like it doesn't feel like it flows well at all, but in like an 80s computer game sort of way, like a Mario Brothers, where you'll run through this stage to the next. I loved that in this. It felt segmented, but not in a shit way. Like it didn't take me out of it. It kept me engaged.
Yeah. The only thing that was missing was like an ice level. Because
it was.
You've got the driving bit at the start, and then you've got your initial kung fu, and then you've got all the different levels of his lair, and then you got the traps, and then you've got the lightning, and then there's monsters and more traps, and yeah, it is. It's a perfect analogy for it. Is it? Well, I mean, it is absurd, isn't it? Of course it is, because you got three blokes wearing baskets on their heads flying around in lightning, and the
lightning, wind, and rain. Yeah,
and the whole thing with how they're fighting the other lot, and it just doesn't matter. Yeah, this is normal here. This is Little China.
I loved it. Like, I like how it was. You've got this resistance movement going on. There's a prophecy overseeing everything. One man's cursed. There's this wedding that has to be done with a green-eyed girl. There's demons with tentacle tongues, and like it's just bonkers. But it's done, I think, because obviously it's John Carpenter's directed it. Like, it's got someone who's got a very good history and future in film in John Carpenter at this point. Like, he knows how to make a movie that can do some absolutely bonkers stuff and keep it fun. And I feel like the plot pretzel in this isn't that the film's convoluted. It's that the film does circle through itself. Like, there are bits that overlap and join up and in unexpected ways. And where we've seen other films where it's been ridiculous and there are plot holes aplenty, there are probably plot holes in this, but it doesn't feel like it because of how it's woven together.
Yeah. And that you don't see certain characters for ages, and then they just come back and it's all fine.
Yeah.
I mean, there is like the jumps of logic, like, how have you got there? Which has been the case for all of these films. But yeah, it's strangely complex as well. Like, it's not just, the whole green eye thing. Obviously, as a base, that's what it is. But there is the whole side thing of him and his little mate and the gambling stuff that keeps coming back all the time. There is the whole thing about the truck. Like, he doesn't say why he's driving this truck.
Yeah.
He doesn't say why these people are fighting each other really necessarily.
No, that doesn't matter why, does it?
Yeah.
It just matters that they are.
They are. And that's so you've got this, you don't need the background, you've got the floating eye thing. Doesn't matter. No,
yeah, just there.
Just
that's
there.
it. Absolutely fine. Like, at the end of the film when he's driving off in his truck, and just one of the villains, one of the monsters, is in the back of the truck, and like, why is he there? What are they setting up? Nothing, it turns out. He was just there for the fucks of it. Like, okay, great.
Yeah.
And there's like every sort of 15 to 20 minutes, they kept you on target. They gave you a little bit of the backstory. They gave you like, where are we now? And then they worked together to get to the next part. So they kept everything really well focused for something that, complex probably isn't the right word, but layered probably is the right word for it. And I think they did a really good job of it. And I know that we've been scoring these things on when they've been gloriously ridiculous. This is not ridiculous. This is gloriously brilliant how it's been structured. So really, I should probably give it a 2, because I don't think it's bad. I think it's really good, and we've generally done it that way round. But no, 9. I really liked how they've plotted this out. I love the fact that Burton thinks he's the hero in this, but he's a bumbling moron. The real hero is his mate. He's the one who does all of the heavy lifting. I think that's a really interesting way to look at a film, like an American Hollywood movie, to have it be focused on the Oriental people there, rather than the white saviour, which is the general trope, I think, what they are taking the piss out of. I'm getting on to messaging the madness here, but 9 out of 10 for me for the plot pretzel. Stu, what about yourself?
8 for me. It just, again, for what you've just said, it wasn't as insane as some of the other nonsense that we've watched, but it was insane enough for it to make sense. So it has to be. This can't be ranked 2 because it made sense. It's all over the place, it's all the better for it. But somehow it all melded together. So yeah,
joins
8.
up neatly at the end. Yeah,
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah, cool. The message in the madness, so like as I touched on then, it is a subversion of the white savior trope. 9 times out of 10 in a film like this at this period of time, it would be Burton doing everything. He would be running around, shooting everyone, saving the girls, and you'd have the small Chinese guy would just be there, usually doing a racist accent, and probably not even a Chinese person doing it either. So to have it the other way around, it feels very ahead of its time. I think that's a really interesting message for this period of cinema history, especially because the 80s, you've got Predator and you've got the big Arnie films of this period. I know he's not American, but he's the all-American hero as well.
Yeah. I mean, I'll give it a 7 for this.
Same.
Because you have got that. You have got the whole, this guy is a moron. He doesn't know anything about Eastern culture, or he keeps having to ask his friend for help. And not just in a physical way, just because he doesn't like, even when they're walking into that warehouse, he's like, "What's that say?" And he mocks him. And he's like, "What?" He went, no, he just says this way or something, whatever he said. And the fact that Kim Cattrall is not, I mean, she's a strange woman. I've seen her in many things, and yet it all comes back to Sex and the City, which is obviously years and years later after this.
Yeah.
Where she kind of melds. It seems like that's what her personality really is. Yet she was doing all these comedy things earlier in her career. But she's not just a bimbo either, which for an 80s film, she has to be saved. But she's not. She's putting up a bit of a fight as well.
She's not hopeless, is she?
Yeah.
Which, as you say, at this period of time, the blonde bimbo is generally hopeless and is only there to be saved.
Yeah, and so she's got I was going to say a bottom reference there. She's got a lot of spunk about her, but she's the way she, like the fact that she's there and she's the lawyer and all that kind of stuff as well. It's like, oh yeah, girl boss energy in the 80s. Weird.
Yeah. I was really impressed with this. I think a lesser director would have butchered the shit out of it. It would have been a complete different film with someone else at the helm.
She's a bit like Sigourney Weaver is in Ghostbusters.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. So that's 7s for that. The Kaboom quotient. It's got a decent budget, 20 million. There's not a lot of like actual explosions. They're more magical explosions. Like there's the lightning bolts and those kind of things. I think it's aged. It's definitely aged. But I think it works in this film. I don't think you could get away with it in much else. But I think when they're embracing the mysticism of it, I think they do a good enough job with the explosions to keep it fun and light.
Yeah, and it's got that 80s look about it.
It does.
And I thought the lightning, like where the ones holding the lightning and it's kind of twinkling in between his hands, that was not bad. But you look at other films around that era, and this 20 million seems like a lot.
It does, doesn't it? It does. But then the practical effects. So like you said, you've got the weird eye monster thing. You've got the werewolf man. You've got like the whole sorcery nonsense going on in the background. I think they did quite a good job. And like with the wire fighting kung fu artists and stuff going on in the background, that was really well done. You've got Burton when like he's firing the gun around like a fucking maniac. Like there are big silly moments in this. Yeah, the explosions aren't great. And I know last week we said because there were no explosions, we couldn't go above 5. I think there's enough in this to go above that. I've got it at a 6 because I think they could do... No, I've got it at 7. We'll give it a 7 because I think the practical effects are actually really good in this film.
I've got it as an 8 for
Okay.
the practical effects being good and the wire work being good, especially at a time where wire work wasn't a standard either.
Yeah.
And yet you don't know. I mean, a lot of these people might have done it before, and they seem pretty natural at doing it. But there's a certain 80s-ness about things like this where it's so obviously fake.
Yeah.
This doesn't look like that, even though it's not the best. And the monster that's on his truck looked a bit shit compared to Chewbacca, which is the obvious.
Yeah.
He even had the sash.
I wonder if we watched this on standard definition rather than 1080, if it would have looked a little bit better, if it would have just hidden a few of the seams, maybe.
Well, apparently you can, on certain, when I was looking at IMDb, there's certain size of screen and definition where you can see that both women are wearing contacts.
I did wonder that, because I thought there's no way they've both got green eyes watching that. I just thought, actually, 8 I think is fair, because I've just remembered the 6 demon bag. What's in there? Okay, yeah. I think for that alone, it deserves 1 extra point, because you do have the mystical orbs, you've got the glowing swords, you've got that really cheap throwing knife that Burton throws at him. Goes nowhere near Lopan, then Lopan throws it back at him. But it's just like he's tossing it in his direction. I think there are some silly bits in this as well. I was just giving it on the good stuff, but actually there's a couple of silly bits that I think, yeah, it deserves that extra point. I'm going to give it an 8 as well, actually. So yeah, I think that's reasonable.
And you've got the old sorcerer makeup as well, which it looks very fly-like, which it's going to do. But I thought, yeah, it's not taking you away from the fact that this is not an old man. He looks good.
You know what? Do you remember 3 Men and a Little Lady?
Yeah.
Where Ted Danson plays the priest at the end who marries the couple. And that was clearly Ted Danson in makeup.
Yeah.
This makeup from like a decade earlier looked better than that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think 8 is actually a reasonable score thinking about it, Stu. I think you're right.
Yeah.
What do you make of the acting in this one? Like, immediately, Kurt Russell is playing John Wayne. Even the accent, he's doing a John Wayne accent. He's full on swinging for I'm Mr. America here. And I think that is absolutely the right choice. It is perfect for his I'm a dickhead role, but I don't know that I'm a dickhead. And yeah, I thought that was fantastic. I thought there was some very good acting in this film.
Yeah. I mean, this is 8 again for me. It's not so over the top that it's shit funny. Because they are clearly doing a bit here. It's an adventure film. It's supposed to be like this, and they do it well, all of them. And as I said, but Kim Cattrall, she doesn't play the character that we know her of now, and she's got a bit about her, and she's more rounded as a character than she needs to be in this. But then you got all the Asian actors proper hamming it up in the kind of stereotypical Asian China way.
Yeah.
And saying Asian China as in not American China, it's everyone knows what they're doing here. This is not a played serious film to be laughed at. This is a film that knows what it is, and it's embracing it from the start with money.
I think it would be harsh to say it's cheesy. I think it's knowingly hammy.
Yeah, 100%.
Like it's proper. Kurt Russell is giving it Amdram. Like if you saw him at the Netherton fucking Performing Arts Centre, it wouldn't be out of place because he's giving it such a big, ridiculous performance, and it works perfectly. And Kim Cattrall she feels like a proto April O'Neil in this. Like she's kind of ballsy. She's got a sharp tongue, and it works really well. As you say, I think all of the Asian characters in it are very... At a period of time where Asian characters would have been stereotyped, I don't think they stereotyped the vast majority of them. The villains maybe were a little bit on the cheesy side, like Lopan. He was quite a caricature, I think.
His fingernail.
Yeah, that's it. I think that silliness is why I've gone for a 9, because I think we've got some really good, very on the money performances, and we've just got that sprinkling of batshit on the side that work quite well for me. So that's why I've gone for a 9 with this one. So what's your overall score on this one, Stu, out of 10?
I mean,
I can give you your scores for the others if that will help you decide.
887 was the others.
And I've got you down for a 7, 10, 7.
What did I say 10 for?
Toxic Avenger was the what the fuck.
Oh, yeah. So which
I think I gave that an 11, to be fair.
Yeah, 7 was Jim Carter. This is a 9.
Yeah.
This is a 9. Toxic Avenger is the most... It's just out there. I don't think you can come close to some of the stuff in that. But this is... It's a 9 because it's got an actual plot to it. And it's not just silliness all the time. But yeah, the overall whole premise of it is mad. It's playing into certain things. And it's getting 99.9% of them spot on for what it gets. And it's to achieve so, yeah, it's close, but yeah, 9. 9, I think. It's fair.
Yeah, I've done the same. I was toying between a 9 or a 10 because it's just a step down from Toxic Avenger for me. It's close, like it's as close as I think you'll get. I did give it an 11 out of 10 to Toxic Avenger because I think he just goes above and beyond. But yeah, I think 9's entirely reasonable because it's got some really earnest stuff that it's like earnestly good. It's got some ridiculous stuff that is so far out there that you can't help but smile and embrace it. It's what I want when I'm looking for a big, silly genre film. This does what it says on the tin. This is what I want in the movie. I think it's excellent. So I'm going to give it a 9 as well. So that will be 9, 9, 18. That is an 82% film. So that one now is coming in at second place. There it is. Yep. So Jim Carter has got 54%. You're the Hunter from the Future on 57%. Big Trouble comes in second place currently on 82%. And Toxic Avenger is on 88%. That is going to take some beating. And we've got 4 films left, so we're halfway through the run at the moment, Stu. Next up, I think, is The Running Man. Let me just double check that's the right year. If that's 87, that's the right one. The Running Man. Oh, he's going to come up with a new one now, isn't he? Oh, no, there we go. Yeah, 1987. So that's the next one we'll be doing. Will be the original Running Man. When is the new one out? I wonder if we're timing it so that it's released at the same time, because that would be impressive work. The Running Man release date. November 7th. So
no way.
So
that's 2 weeks. 3.
Yeah, so we'll be releasing our Running Man podcast on the 4th, and then it'll be released on the 7th of November. Timed that well. And I genuinely did not put that in for that. That's just fallen like it. I'm really looking forward to The Running Man. It's another film that sort of reminds me of a computer game because, again, you've got the bosses at the end of every level. This might be my favourite Arnie film outside of T2.
Commando is mine. I mean, obviously, of course it is. It's Commando's incredibly stupid. It's like one of the most 80s action film that you can possibly imagine.
Yeah.
There's a kind of bombastic, over the top guns, stereotype villain.
I think the only thing for me is that I probably watch The Running Man more often than I do Commando. It's probably because I don't think I've seen Commando. I think I've seen it like a couple of times, but probably not for 15 years. Whereas I'd say I'll probably watch The Running Man every 5 years or so, because I just think it's such a fun movie. And Jesse the Body Ventura is in it, and if you stick a wrestler in there, I'm always going to enjoy it, So I think personally it might just edge it, but that's probably just because I don't think I've seen Commando more recently.
It's just not in Commando as well.
Actually, he is, isn't he? Is he the one he does the son of a bitch with?
Yeah.
He is, yeah. I need to watch that again, It's been too long. Oh, God, they were in Predator together.
Hang on. Jesse Ventura, Predator, Batman and Robin, Running Man, Demolition Man.
I once heard a story about Jesse Ventura. So when they were on the film together, him and Arnie, and they were measuring them up for the costumes. And when they did Arnie's muscles, it was like 75 inches, or if not 75, like 25 inches, say. And when Jesse did his, like he flexed his muscle when he did it and put his hand behind it to pump his muscle up. And he came out with like 26 inches. So Arnie was really pissed off that Jesse Ventura had bigger muscles than him. And he just did it as a rib on him. I thought that's quite funny. I imagine they must have been good pals. But obviously Jesse Ventura is one of your tinfoil mates now, I think.
Yeah.
He's gone a little bit off track, hasn't he?
Well, is he the one, the goddamn sexual tyrannosaur in the speech in Commando in the helicopter?
I think he is, isn't he? I think that's his line. Yeah. Outstanding. So yeah, The Running Man. Paul Michael Glaser directed. I know that name. Where do I know that name from? He has Criminal Minds episode. He's done some TV work. Maybe I just know him from this, in fairness. Yeah, maybe it is. In a future dystopian America, a wrongfully accused and convicted policeman gets his shot at freedom when he's forced to participate in a TV game show where convicts called runners must battle killers for their freedom. Based on a Stephen King short story starring Arnie. Who else do we know? Maria Conchita Alonso, don't know her. Yaphet Kotto, Jim Brown, Jesse Ventura, Erland Van Lith. I think he was a wrestler. Marvin J. McIntyre. There aren't many names in this that I particularly recognise, in fairness. Not from anything. Kurt Fuller, who you'll know from quite a few things. He always seems to play like a sleazy TV exec. In fact, I think he may have played that in Wayne's World. Was he in Wayne's World? He was in Ghostbusters 2. I remember that. Yeah. But yeah, definitely a face you will certainly recognise. But yeah, check that film out and come and join us next week. I think what we'll do next week, Stu, just to finalise our Nic Cage-a-thon, we will do a dummies guide to Nic Cage. I'm not sure what that's going to entail, but we'll dumb it down. Like a potted, you need to watch these films if you want to be a Nic Cage expert like us.
Yeah. Something
Something like that. That's the title. We'll start with the title and work our way back. Dummies Guide to Nic Cage and The Running Man will be next week. Make sure you got us on your podcatcher. And if you could leave us a 5-star review, we would love you forever. If you want to get in contact, it's at Cage Fighting Pod on the socials, and it's cagefightingpod@gmail.com on the emails. But this week, Stu, would you like to say goodbye?
Goodbye, everyone. Everyone just go and watch this excellent work of art that is Big Trouble in Little China. It's on Disney Plus. Everyone's got Disney Plus. It seems it's relatively cheap-ish compared to Netflix. Just do it. Goodbye.
Or torrent it.
Yeah.
It's goodbye from me too. And remember, be excellent to each other.